come to discuss perhaps everything in the book. But books trigger different things in different people. And so some of the things that were things that jumped out at Dr. Williams may be different than things that jumped out at you. But that's the glory of having a book discussion or having a book talk where everybody kind of has read the book and then they come back and they bring out what it meant to them. Where did it touch them? I don't know how many of you have had the opportunity to read the book, but if you have, do you have any questions about the book, or do you have any questions about what Dr. Williams has mentioned that you would like to ask more about, or that you would have a follow-up with? Linda?
I have a question about bananas. Are all, I don't know how bananas are divided, if they're subspecies or whatever, but are all types of bananas nutritionally equal? For instance, plantains, plantanos, are they the same?
Plantains are generally the most nutritious, and there's about 500 varieties of bananas. Yeah.
And they all have these same benefits?
No, the plantains have more nutrition than the others. No, they have different amounts of benefits depending on the variety. The plantains are the most nutritious.
And I see in the market sometimes these little tiny baby bananas.
Finger bananas.
Yeah, those little finger bananas, and I was telling Robert, we used to have in our backyard in Holiday, actually a little wooded area back there, we have some banana trees. We used to go back and pick some of those little finger bananas. They were very good. So it's hard to say where those came from.
I was going to ask, do those come from Florida? They're in Florida markets. Do they come from Florida?
They could, they might. You know, the person that has the produce stand can probably tell you where they came from.
Do bananas have enough protein in them that if you were needing protein, that would suffice? I mean, usually I think, well, I have to have a piece of meat with that, you know, to make it full protein.
Yeah. I could talk for an hour on that question. You know, I taught tennis for 30 plus years, and when I retired, I had some injuries that were bugging me, and so I called a friend of mine named Gardner Malloy, and Gardner Malloy is probably one of the, he has over 300 national titles, age group titles. He won the U.S. Open doubles when he was 40. He had always claimed that he had never lost to anyone older than he was. And I called him on his, he just had his 95th birthday. And I'd known Gardner for some time, and Gardner taught tennis till he was 90, Fisher Island. And I told him, you know, I said, Gardner, I have some trouble with my back and so forth. I wanted some advice. And you know what the first question he asked me? Are you a vegetarian? Are you a vegetarian? That's the first question he asked me. The second question he asked me was, do you eat nuts? And I said, yes. And then he proceeded to give me advice. And when we finished, and by the way, Gardner had just gotten back from Australia where he had captained the 85 and over international team for the United States. And he said to me, John, call me in 30 years, I'll put you on my team. Now the answer to your question is, yes, we get all the protein that we could ever want in a banana, in beans, in nuts, in plants. You don't have any advantage as far as protein by eating meat. And what you do, when you eat a vegetarian animal, and most of us, that's what we do eat if we eat meat, you're getting 10 times the toxins and carcinogens in that tissue that you would if you're eating a plant, because the animal eats the plant. The bad stuff is stored in her tissue. The older the animal, the more the stuff is in there, so the more the bad stuff you get. This is why humans don't eat carnivores, because if you eat a carnivore, a lion, a wolf, a tiger, you're going to get 100 times the toxins and carcinogens. It may not kill you, but it'll make you sick. And this is why we don't eat vulture meat, because you get 1,000 times the toxins and carcinogens. Very toxic meat. So, if you want to eat healthy, do what Michael Pollan said. If it comes from a plant, eat it. If it doesn't, don't. Very simple advice. There are a lot of athletes and a lot of football players that are vegetarians.
takes roughly 7 times the amount of land to support a cow as it does to take to support a human being. So when you're eating a cow, you're actually using 7 times as much land of productivity as you would if you were just a vegetarian. And also there was an interesting study done by the University of Chicago a few years ago that said if the average American reduced their meat consumption by just 10%, that would be the equivalent of trading in your Lincoln Continental for a hybrid car.
Yep. Yep, this is all very true. Of course, Barbara doesn't go that route in the book. You know, she's going to feed the family with meat and vegetables, basically, on her little farm in Western Virginia. But everything Robert said is exactly true. And as we, go forward, our society is going to have to learn to eat more plants. I mean, we just can't continue. We have 6.8 billion people. We have approximately 6.8 billion farm animals. And that's a lot of belching and gassing, and of course that's another area.